guys, we got this great clip from one of our long content videos. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Enjoy.
So let's start with your background. Tell us a bit about who you are and how you come about in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, thanks, Isabella. That's great. So, guys, I'm Robert Crager. You may know me from YouTube as the Flip Flop Flipper. We have a small YouTube channel that we started once we came to Puerto Rico. And so how I came to Puerto Rico was I've been a real estate investor for my entire career. And in about 2016, I started looking for new markets to expand our business to. And then in 2017, Maria happened. And so as part of my due diligence on markets, once Maria happened, Puerto Rico became like the place that we thought we would end up. I'd only been to Puerto Rico to go on a cruise ship before. Really didn't know much about the island at the time, but we had been through hurricane cycles because we live in Florida. And so we know what happens with the devastation of a storm and then a rebuild. And then, 5 years later on, things are good again. And then hopefully another storm doesn't come. So that's how we ended up in Puerto Rico. I came to Puerto Rico right sort of after Maria, and the lights were still out at Christmas time. And what we saw when we got here, even though it was devastated, was that it looked like a place that we could call home, and that hopefully we would be able to come in and buy some real estate and make some investments and lift some people up, because there had just been recently a great tragedy. So hopefully that's been part of the effect of us coming to Puerto Rico. That's our heart's desire. We never want to go someplace and leave it worse than we found it. We want to leave things better off than when we got there. Part of that is learning the culture and meeting the people. And you asked me before we started this, do I speak Spanish? The first time I came to Puerto Rico, I didn't speak really a word of Spanish. So now, un poquito, I would say, but it's hopefully getting better and better. And I struggle through it. I teach myself by just speaking bad Spanish. And when I'm out, I order my coffee in Spanish, and I try to have conversations with people. And
that's good.
Very gracious with me. The Puerto Rican community is so loving and inviting and hospitable, and so I never really feel self-conscious. In fact, it's more of a problem of when I'm trying to learn Spanish, oftentimes they'll want to speak in English because they're working on their English as well. So I have to apologize that I feel like after 5 years, I should be further along. Hopefully that helps you with who I am. And
of course. So
yeah.
More of a fun question. What is your favorite part of Puerto Rico? I know you've been to San Juan. I see you have projects in Rincon, Cabo Rojo, Culebra. So what would you think is your favorite part?
Well, my favorite part has sort of evolved. When I first got here, I just fell in love with the city of San Juan, and we do a lot of business here, and this is where we live. We've been here for 5.5 years. So I absolutely love San Juan. I love Carolina and all of the metro area. But as you mentioned, we have some projects in other parts of the island, and so going out to the west side of the island is a very different vibe. I feel it's kind of strange because I know San Juan is the big city for the island of Puerto Rico, and you get that sort of big city feel when you're in San Juan. Even though it's not a huge city, it definitely has a faster pace than when you get out to the west side in Isabela or Rincon or Cabo Rojo. And so right now, I'm exploring the west side quite a bit, and we were thinking that we may even move out there. So I would say right now our focus, I don't want to say it's our favorite, but our focus is out west, and we're thinking that could be a really fun place to live for a while.
I agree. That's gorgeous. So
it really is gorgeous too, right? Like that, San Juan is great, but I tell people when you come, you've got to get outside of San Juan, because the beauty of Puerto Rico is any direction away from San Juan for a 20-minute drive, and then you're going to go, your mouth is going to drop. You're just going to go, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And it doesn't matter if you go into the mountains or if you go to the East Coast or the West Coast. It doesn't take long once you're outside of the city to just come across something that it'll make you more certain of God.
Oh, that's so nice. That is so nice. So why is Puerto Rico different than other markets you've been?
Well, our experience is that Puerto Rico is different than many markets in the States where we are, because Puerto Rico experienced this devastating collapse of the market when the rest of the world did back in 2008 or so. The difference with the mainland and Puerto Rico is that Puerto Rico really did not recover. And so it had this prolonged, I would call it a depression, certainly a recession type, high unemployment, very hard to get a job, a mass amount of young people, especially like yourself, would have been leaving the island because they didn't feel like there was opportunity on the island. And that went on for, I think, well over a decade, right? And so that is so impactful to a small island. Puerto Rico is only 100 miles long by 30 something miles wide. It's not a big place, and to have a high percentage of the young people leaving for other opportunities is devastating. And that is what we arrived to when we got here, and what we've seen while we've been here, and what we hope to continue to see is people like yourself. And I don't know if you've been to the States and you've come back, but young people who have been to the States for other...
Just came back from Miami, actually.
You were living in Miami?
Yeah, 7 years.
7 years. So the perfect example then. Young people who have gone to the States for other opportunities now have a chance to come back to Puerto Rico, to their island, to their home. And there is opportunity here. And that's the message that we try to put out on our YouTube channel very often. Like that is something I find myself saying. It's like, hey, I know it's been awful for a long time, but it's getting better. And there is opportunity. There's room for people to come in and start businesses, and the economy has begun to turn around. You know, you can't say that everything's perfect, but things do seem to be improving.
But I feel so much happier here. It's gorgeous.
I'm really glad that you're back, right? And I am of young people who left that are now coming back, and just back home, they usually have a smile on their face and they're very happy to be here. So I read about Red Atlas and what you guys are building. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. When you reached out to me and I read about you guys, I was like, they're going to change so much. There's been things like that you guys are going to implement.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Yeah.
We're trying to make a difference as well. So
yeah, I think you can't, it has to, right? Like there's a technological advance that's about to come on the island of Puerto Rico that's necessary, and it's going to change things. And it's going to change things for the better.
I want to get into your projects. And
there was a housing shortage at the time, and there still is a housing shortage. So that business model continues to work. However, over the last 5.5 years, our business has sort of shifted. And when we came to the island, we did not come for 20 or 22 or Act 74, those were the acts back in the day, back 5.5 years ago. Now it's all called Act 60. I had never even heard of it, so we didn't come for that. But because we were investing on the island, we started to learn about Act 74, particularly, which is the Tourism Act. And Puerto Rico had a stated desire to increase the GDP on the island from about 6% of the total GDP through tourism to up to about 15% of the GDP. So still relatively low for a Caribbean island as far as tourism goes, but a tremendous growth opportunity for a person like myself. So we started to buy properties and renovate them into hotel projects. So small guest house has been our niche, like 7 rooms up to about 24 rooms. That's the room count that fits nicely for a company our size. We're not a big company. It's my wife and I, it's my business partner and his wife, and a couple of key employees, right? So we think we do a lot with the group that we've got, but we're not a big company. We don't have endless deep pockets, but that 7-room to 24-room guest house concept has worked well for us. And we've got a project in Luquillo that was a 4-family house. It was just a house that was in the past had been rented long-term. When we bought it, it was vacant, and we turned it into a 7-room guest house hotel called the Surfing Turtle, and it's right near La Pared. It's in the heart of Luquillo, near the Pueblo, so it's centrally located. It's a block from this beautiful beach, and we turned it into a pretty fun and exciting 7-room guest house. We've got what I like to say is probably the coolest like bunk room on the island. So we've got one room that is set up for people to rent by the bed, and they're just the best kind of hostel type rooms that you've ever laid eyes on. It's really, really cool. And so that's one. We have a property here in Miramar that we're launching right now that's a traditional bed and breakfast. So a little bit smaller property, even only 5 rooms in the bed and breakfast. And we're launching that in October. So that's one that's kind of near and dear to me right now because we've just finished the build on it and we're starting to take guests. And so those are the kind of projects that we get excited about. And yeah, if you have more questions about that, I'm happy to go further. But
I saw on your website also with the data that you guys had some hotels that have some containers. Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So we have a property in Rincon that we bought a small house in Rincon, and next door to it was a trailer park. And the guy who owned it, he had people pay him lot rents for their fifth wheel trailers. They sit there, and it's kind of a weekend spot for locals. They go and get to go to the beach, and they've been there for years. And we ended up becoming friendly with the owner. And I thought all the time, man, what a great business he's got. I would love to have a business like that one day. And I went over one day, my son actually went over and asked him if we could rent parking from him. And he said, no, I can't rent you parking. I just don't have the room, but I might be able to sell you the entire place. And so we ended up buying this park, Playa Corsica recreational facility. And it's been there for years and years. We bought it right before COVID. And we thought at the time we might go in and do this shipping container concept. And when COVID happened, we sort of fell in love with Rincon. My wife and I stayed a lot over there at that property during COVID and fell in love with the community. And so we shifted our plan to basically stay with what was existing and leave the trailers in place. But what we do is, as people leave, when they choose to leave, then we take a shipping container, or we have about 6 or 7 upcycled shipping containers, and we put them in place of where the trailers used to be. So over time, we're going to continue with this concept. And in fact, we're about to send from San Juan 3 more shipping containers to the park in the next couple of weeks. So that's a fun business model, right? To take a shipping and turn it into a hotel room.
Yeah, I would stay there. It's an experience.
So we've been working on that now for a couple of years, and hopefully somewhere in the next couple of months, we'll have some of those that are ready for actual people to come and stay in. So we're getting really close.
Nice.
Video where I probably said, yeah, in the next month, we'll have these up and running. And that was a year ago. So I've completely missed myself, but we're still a couple of months away.
Talking about that, what are some biggest challenges you face in Puerto Rico regarding your new project?
Yeah, so the big project challenges that we have, you have everywhere. You have the same challenges in the States. I think maybe some of them get amplified on the island. Obviously, there were some supply chain issues over the last couple of years that everybody felt them, right? Like there were ships that were off the coast of California that weren't allowed to come in when COVID happened. So everybody had this at the same time. The whole world experienced this. There just wasn't product, right? We couldn't get doors, we couldn't get windows, we couldn't get roofing material. So that's been a challenge at times. It's gotten better. Labor has been challenging at times. Again, especially around COVID, right? Like it became very difficult to get people to come to work. And that's not unique to the island of Puerto Rico. That's something that we experienced everywhere, but maybe just a little bit more challenging in Puerto Rico. And then I would say for us as people who are trying to grow a business and we're doing new things, especially around hospitality, dealing with the government and permitting issues and just dealing with the Puerto Rico government, that's been challenging. It's not a walk in the park.
It's not. I've heard. I know permits are the worst here. I know they take a long time. They can be very bureaucratic.
Yeah. And we're doing like 74 or 60 projects, and hopefully we're going to get these tax credits, and they're going to be an amazing part of the story when we do get them. But again, that's a government agency. And so I think people look at that and they believe they're doing a tourism project and they're going to get 40% tax credits, and that's just like an automatic gift that the government of Puerto Rico hands anybody who's going to invest in tourism. And it couldn't be further from the truth. It would be nice if it was automatic, but it's not. The hoops that we have to jump through are massive. And it's oftentimes that we're doing things 3, 4, 5 times where we're providing and gathering the same information, and then you have audits, and then you just have challenges. It's a bureaucracy. Dealing with the government is hard. In the States, we complain about going to get the driver's license or calling up the power company and having the power come on, and it takes an hour or 2, and we would complain about that. Then we get here and we call the power company to get power on, and it can take weeks, days, weeks, and even months. So those are the challenges that you have. But I would say this, it has always been worth it at the end, right? So every time we finish a project and then we look back on it, even though it may cost more than we thought and it may take longer than we expected, we look back and we go, well, it was worth doing. And we're really happy with the partners. We try to partner with locals on every project, so we learn together with our partners. And so we always have this idea of looking back and saying, is it worth it? And it has absolutely been worth it every time.
So nice. And also, I know you guys bought the Hayawek building in Avenida Ponce de Leon. And I saw in your YouTube video, you were talking about a new fund and a new project regarding the Avenida Ponce de Leon. So can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we just launched that as the Verano hotel concept, and we're gonna have multiple hotels in this Verano brand. And the Hayawek building is going to be the first Verano hotel on the island of Puerto Rico. You work right across the street from that, right? Like, so you're seeing it, you're going to
real time.
Yeah, and so it's been sitting there not looking very good for quite a long time. Even while we've bought it, we've started construction, we've started demolition, but now real construction is starting. So like the other day we had the crane out in the middle of the road and stopping traffic, and over the next few months you're going to see a magnificent transformation into a 45-room hotel, and it's going to be hopefully the most spectacular hotel of its kind in the area. We're going to have an amazing food concept on the top of the building, and on the bottom we'll have some retail space, and it's such an exciting project. For me, it's the biggest project that I've ever been involved with. Our team that we've put together with Verano, they are absolutely amazing. So I have sort of a backseat role. I'm part of the general partners, part of the people who started the fund. We've been and continue to raise money for this fund. But our team, that's who I really would like to put the focus on, because John Sears is a world-class hotelier, and he is helping us to build out a brand that's going to be next to not. I mean, we're hopeful that this is going to be a worldwide known brand, this Verano concept. So, and I think you're going to see it, right? Like I've said in other places that I believe we're going to change the landscape of the area. That the Verano Hotel in that spot is going to be a landmark, I believe, for San Juan. At least that's my prayer. That's what I hope.
Oh, that's incredible. So we can see more Verano hotels in Avenida Ponce de Leon in the future. That's
the expectation. Yes. So we've got another project that's just getting underway out in the we would call them mountains when I'm from Florida, but you're from Miami, so anything bigger than a driveway hill we call a mountain. And so out in the mountains of San Juan, headed towards Lake Guaynabo, we bought a property that was about 14 acres, and we've bought some other properties around it. We now have about 20 or 25 acres, and we're going to do this mountain retreat, Verano mountain retreat out in the mountains there. So that one will be fun as well.
Yes. And talking about these projects, it's exciting for locals as well. I mean, because obviously it's here in Puerto Rico, but you create jobs. So you're actually helping us in different ways as well. It's not only about coming in and having an investment, but also helping out the locals getting their job and making opportunities like this. So how do you feel about that?
Oh my God, you're right. So it's one of the great joys for me is to bring people. I say all ships rise in a rising tide, and I believe that the economy in Puerto Rico is rising. But for us, we created what's called an opportunity zone fund that this Verano concept has come out of. And what opportunity zones require is a significant investment and then also employment, right? So that's a huge part of it is to be able to provide well-paying jobs, right? Like, so we don't want to just create a bunch of minimum wage jobs. We want to create a path so that people can learn a skill set and grow with a company. And we hope that we're going to impact communities by creating great employment and giving people opportunities that quite honestly haven't been here for a long, long time.
For a long time, and I can tell you that because when I left Maria, I was 21 years old. I thought there was nothing here for me. Coming back, I feel this is a great time to be in Puerto Rico.
I feel like it's a great time to be in Puerto Rico as well. So I'm glad you came back, and what you guys are doing. One of the other areas of struggle here is a lack of information in central systems, and you guys are going to fix that, right? Like when I'm learning about what your company is doing, it gets me very excited because that's also a problem for people like myself who want to come invest in real estate and there's not a central set of data. And so Red Atlas is going to help to solve that.
I hope so. Talking about your clients and the people who are for properties, what do you think they're looking for, gray boxes or turnkeys?
Say that again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Clients here in Puerto Rico are looking more for gray boxes or turnkeys. What do you think?
I think there's a healthy mix. Yeah, so we're value add investors. As you can see with the project that's going on across the street, we take vacant, distressed buildings and renovate them up to their highest and best use. But there are other people that have come to the island that they want this turnkey concept. And so I think it's certainly a healthy mix. I've always been a value add investor. I'm not against the turnkey type investment. It just hasn't ever thrown off the kind of returns that get me excited. So, and plus I like to build stuff. I like to build businesses. I like to build teams. I like to build properties or renovate them. And I have a lot of fun with visioning what something that looks completely terrible could be, and then turning it into that vision. That's what makes me get out of bed, and it excites me.
That's your passion.
That's my passion. Yeah.
So what do you believe sets you apart from investors in Puerto Rico? Why should the community trust you to be a responsible and ethical investor?
Wow. So, no, thank you. That's great. So I would say what sets us apart is that we have a history that we can look back on now after 5.5 years of being here, a history of success and a history of finishing projects. So that does set us apart from many people. And I've seen over the years, again, I've only been here 5.5 years, but I've seen people come to the island and think that they're going to change the culture and they're going to bring in this New York style business that's fast paced and everything runs like a Swiss watch, and they leave the island pretty quickly. They get very frustrated. And so with us, we didn't come from New York, but we did come with expectations, and we've been able to, because we partner with locals, we've been able to grow and build our business at the pace that the island likes to work. So I think that sets us apart from many other people. Just our willingness to get in and get our hands dirty and get involved with people in the community, partner with people from the community. On every project that we have multiple partners just on every level, from the lawyers that we hire, realtors that we use, but also people who come along and help us to run the place. Like our GC, he was working for us in Florida, and I was here 6 months before he would come back because he was a young man who had moved to Florida, Texas and Florida, because there was no opportunity here. And he told me when I went, he said, no, there's no opportunity. And about 6 or 8 months after I got here, I called Lewis and I said, Lewis, you have to come, you have to see it. And he's like, all right, I'll come. And then now he's here and he's got an amazing business. He's a GC on the island, and he's done, I don't know, dozens of projects over the last 4.5 years. So I think that's what sets us apart, is that we have the ability to just get projects done, to keep going, to stand up to the hardship that comes from being on an island. You know, it is harder. It really is. But again, if you can get through it, you can look back and you can say it was worth it. That's where we're at.
That's great. I think we're done. I think I asked you all the things I wanted to ask you. Do you want to add anything on the interview that you wish that it's out?
No, I appreciate that you're taking the time. I'm honored that you interviewed me, and I look forward to seeing more interviews that you're going to do with other people, and anything that I can ever do to help you with that. If you need, I don't know if I can facilitate things for you in any way, please ask. I'd love to see more collaboration on the island, and so you guys.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that. Subscribe to our channel, watch this next, and then also check out the pinned content for more great content, guys. God bless.